Hi, my name is Catherine Menachino, and welcome to my channel, Elevate for Self-Love. On this channel, we discuss self-confidence, self-love, self-respect, and healing after toxic relationships. In today's topic, I'm going to be discussing triggers and what makes us maybe not act our best self. But before I get into that, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to be notified whenever I post new videos. So triggers are an interesting topic, and everybody is triggered by different things. I know for myself, I get triggered every day, and triggers can be different based upon different people in your life. So you might be triggered in different ways from different relationships. You know, we have different people all around us. We have family relationships like a spouse, a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend. We have parents, and we have children. And then we have friends, which is a different type of relationship, maybe not as intimate as our family or close spouse relationships. And then we have acquaintances, we have workplace relationships with a boss or colleagues, and all these things can trigger us differently. So it's interesting to me how sometimes the deeper the relationship, the trigger can definitely be much more impactful. So for instance, you know, I'll notice that when I'm with my children, my parents, or my romantic partner, that there's going to be a trigger that's going to be much more impactful on me and having an effect that's deeper. I think that the reason for that is that things that are happening now all around us as adults, when it's with people that are very close to us, our closest relationships, we are being triggered into a childhood state at some times. And it's hard to keep your center as a mature adult when you're triggered into a childhood wound, let's say. You know, there can be a lot of reasons. It could be like, you know, the way you grew up and the way that your father talked to you now is the way that your partner just happened to talk to you that one time, and now you're angry at your partner when they take that tone with you, and maybe it's repetitive, maybe they do it as a habit, or it could be just a one-time thing, but you are now reacting in a way almost as if you were that child reacting to your parent at the time. So I think, you know, there's a lot that people talk about as far as there's a lot solidified inside your subconscious mind as far as love and relationships go before you're 7 years of age. So when you're younger, you're picking up a lot like a sponge, and you even have a different brainwave state than when you get older. So you're really like in a place to absorb everything. And sometimes what you absorb isn't so great. So what you have experienced as love, what you have experienced as family, as comfortable, may not have been the most healthy. And for sure that happened with me. And I later on went on to have many relationships that were unhealthy. So that's because when I was younger, I thought that was love. I became accustomed to this idea that love meant being with someone who was emotionally unavailable. Love meant maybe being with someone who was a little abusive, but it was also kind to me. Maybe someone that would go back and forth, you know, and that's the most recent relationship I experienced, was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of person. And because when I was younger, I guess my father was working a lot and wasn't available emotionally to me at all. My mother, I think, she tried to be emotionally available, but she didn't have the skills because of the way that she didn't have the emotional skills because of the way that she grew up. So it was like neither one of my parents were equipped to teach me how to be a healthy adult emotionally. neither one of them had any idea. And they did the best they could, but they didn't teach me the skills I needed. So when I got to be an adult, I was just winging it, and I thought, okay, like this feels good, this feels comfortable, and so I fell into relationships where I became very accepting of unacceptable behavior, because I grew up thinking this is how it is. Like this is what love is, and you just continuously forgive and you accept and you stick by the person you love. You are loyal, you are faithful, and you continue to treasure that person and help them so that they can change and they can become better people, and you just support them. And now I know that that is not love, but that is codependency. That was my codependency playing out in my life situations. So triggers can definitely bring us back to this childhood place where we don't always know that we're there too. So it's sort of like a subconscious thing that happens. You don't know that you're being triggered to into your childhood self. You think like I'm still here, like it's me, and you might just react so quick that you don't even realize that you're now regressing into an immature version of yourself, or the worst version of yourself. There can be so many things. Like I know in certain instances where I did become very immature in responding to my ex's behavior, because he was really immature in attacking me, and I just completely would like lower myself to that as well. Like I just completely would not be able to hold myself in an adult, mature space and dismiss his immaturity and his accusations, or the things he said about me. I was constantly defending myself, and I really was looking for his validation and approval. That was, at the bottom line was that's what I was looking for. I really wanted him to approve of me. So I became like this kid who wanted him to approve of me. And the fact that he had changed his mind about marrying me, and the fact that he had made me feel not good enough after dating him for so long and not proposing and not wanting to move things, not being happy and excited to move things along, and had kind of done a 180 on me as far as his original intentions. And now all of that just served to make me want to prove myself more. It became like a challenge, like, well, why doesn't he love me? Why am I not good enough? And it really like just reinforced these ideas of I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, nothing I do is enough, because I was trying to love this guy so much and just be the best girlfriend ever. I was so devoted to this person, and it was just like never enough. No matter what I did was never going to be enough for him to say, yes, I see a bright future with you and I want to be with you. Because he wasn't a person who could love. I was picking the wrong person. I was barking up the wrong tree. It was not possible what I was asking of this person, because they're just not equipped, And what I know now is they were triggered. They were triggered by my love and the excessiveness of my love, which was unconditional. And I think they just, because they're so afraid of intimacy because of their own childhood, they're so afraid of being controlled. They're so afraid of losing control and being close to someone. They have walls up because of their own childhood trauma that they're not going to change. I think some people can change these things. Some people have the ability to grow. They have the ability to develop the capability to love and recognize where they're putting walls up and take them down. But this person just didn't want to do that for me. So, I wasted a lot of years in this relationship trying to get someone to love me who was not capable of love. He was capable of infatuation and thinking that that was love. He was infatuated with me for a while, and I think he believed that that was love. But I knew that as that infatuation faded, that love was supposed to still be there, and then but nothing was really there. It wound up that, you know, he started finding fault in me, and things. He started to do the devalue and the discard. So, you know, we all know the narcissistic relationship pattern, idealization, when they're infatuated with you and you can't do anything wrong. And then it's the devaluation where they find tons of faults in you, and in their mind they decide you're not the one now because they are going to find all these faults in you. And then it's the discard, where they discard you because you're not perfect, and now they've devalued you in their mind, so they now feel justified, like, well, you know, that person had all these faults and they're just not the right one for me. We're just not compatible. Meanwhile, nobody's going to be compatible and nobody's going to be perfect, because no one is perfect. But they're looking for that. They're looking for this perfect unicorn who's going to solve their life and make everything better. So they're triggered because of their own childhood traumas. They're triggered to run away from intimacy. They're triggered to find fault in other people and devalue and discard them when things get too difficult, let's say, or maybe that person gets too close and they decide, I'm going to devalue this person and discard them because I don't want to be so close. I don't want to have this kind of life. And it's sad, but there's people out there that will never really feel real love because they just push it away. And so feeling real love or having a loving partner is a trigger to them. But we all have these triggers, and I feel like definitely the closest relationships you have are where you have the most intense triggers. Those triggers where you can, you know, kind of go back to your childhood self. Because I think what happens is the prefrontal cortex, it shuts off when you are going through certain situations which make you very emotional and bring you back to that state. And you're not, you know, you're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking with your logical, adult, mature, clear thinking self. You know, this part of your brain is off. And you're in the back here, you know, you're just running on emotion. So you're not able to make the best choices. You're not able to relate in the most positive, healthy way when you get to that place of this, let's say, regression into your childhood self, or from trauma, from being triggered and from past trauma. So everybody has them. I think some people, it's even like, it could be their parents still, even though they're adults, they get like really triggered from like a parent says something like, you know, I noticed that like, it seems like when you're away from your parents, you can be okay. But then once you're with your parents and they do something that they did when you were younger, all of a sudden you can flip back into that younger version of yourself, right? And then you go, oh my gosh, like what just happened to me? And then you realize what happened was you went back to your younger self because they were triggering it by the way they were acting, and it made you remember how it was in the past. And you can get triggered from, you know, friends, colleagues. It's a lot of how we went through our childhood there'll be these memories, but they're like a subconscious kind of memory that only gets brought up when someone does something that's very similar to what happened during your childhood. So triggers are hard. How to deal with triggers, you know, I think it's important to deal with your own trauma in your own time so that you won't be as triggered, because even when it's happening, if you've been working on this, you'll be able to recognize some of it. You'll still have times where you're not able to recognize it and it'll just happen very quickly. But if you've been actively thinking about your triggers and trying to let's say heal your childhood traumas and your childhood wounds by reparenting yourself, by learning, what the way that you deal with things and how they can be dealt with better, and the ways that you might fall into triggers and trauma, I think that will help you in any situation, because you'll have a better self-awareness. So if you have self-awareness, at least you can try to avoid this happening, or you can deal with it when it's happening, or even in retrospect after it happens, you can say, oh, I see that I was doing this happened because of my past. When my parents said this, it reminded me of this. And identifying your limiting beliefs about yourself and identifying those pain points. So pain points being like, I'm not worthy, I'm always abandoned, I'm unlovable, I can't be alone, I can't survive on my own, I need help with getting by, I'll never succeed, I'm never going to amount to anything, I can't make friends, I can't find a good partner. There's so many things that people feel about themselves, and you need to get to know what those are for you, because if you know what those are for you, you can then know when they come up. So I've identified mine, and I understand that in certain situations they're going to come up, and then those are the limiting beliefs that you want to try to work on healing. So let's say I'm not lovable, right? Because or I'm never good enough. Like that was what my ex-boyfriend would make me feel like. Now it's my job to work on that in myself. So instead of saying, okay, he's right, I have to say he's wrong, because I know I am lovable and I am good enough. He just can't see that because he has issues in his mind and in his thinking and his perspective that's not based in reality. Toxic and narcissistic people are not in this reality with us. They are living somewhere else, right? Like there's a fantasy world, and I can talk more about that in another video, and I will talk about that because actually the narcissist and the codependent both are living in a fantasy world. It's a shared fantasy that they do, and they both get different things out of it, but essentially the narcissist can't see you for who you are. They can't see that you're loving them, that you're kind and compassionate, that you're dedicated, and appreciate that. They don't appreciate it. They just see it as annoying. They see it as needy. They don't understand. They don't have the perspective to see things in an objective way. So like someone else, I'll give you an example. So my ex-boyfriend would say I was needy. Meanwhile, no one in my life has ever called me needy. I mean, at least that as far as I can remember. I'm a very independent person. I run my own business. I am a single mother of 2 children. I am financially independent as well. And no one has ever told me I'm needy. And yet this person was like, you're so needy, because they don't understand that I wasn't necessarily needy. I wanted a normal, healthy, emotional relationship, like a partnership where both people were participating and both people wanted to give, right? Like he didn't want to give. He was resentful that he had to give, whether it was time, whether it was attention, whether it was money, he resented it. Now that to me is not someone who's based in reality, because they just don't want to give, but instead of admitting that they just don't want to give, they're going to tell me I'm needy. They're going to pin it on me. So that kind of gives you an idea of triggers and, you know, some ways to get past triggers. You really have to do some deep digging and figure out what your issues are, figure out how you can figure out, let's say, when they come up, and then how you can heal them with journaling, like self-parenting, and really grounding yourself in more of a reality-based mindset instead of something that's flipping in the wind. Like, you know, that's how it feels when you're codependent and you're with someone who's a narcissist. You're sort of like in this dream, and you're kind of, you know, like you've put so much emphasis on what they think of you, the narcissist, and you're not really too focused on what you think of you or what other people think of you. All that matters to you is what they think. And that is the issue, because you're looking for outside validation, and the person that you're looking for it from is not well. Their perspective is not in reality. So you're never going to get that. And, you know, it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because now you are living out what you learned as a child, that you are not lovable. Then you pick someone who's unable to love you because they are not able to see you in a normal, real way and appreciate you. And then they don't love you. And this is just like a cycle that can keep going on and on and on. And people, you know, do keep meeting the same type of partners over and over again, and have these experiences repetitively. So there has to be some way to stop yourself, to really recognize, like, what am I doing here, and to snap out of this codependent mindset. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That's it for now.